The Elder Scrolls is filled with powerful characters, legendary warriors, ancient vampires, immortal mages, Daedric champions, and rulers whose actions have shaped the history of Tamriel itself. But raw strength alone isn't what makes an NPC truly dangerous. Some possess unimaginable magical abilities, others command entire armies, manipulate kingdoms from the shadows, or wield artifacts capable of changing the fate of the world. A few have been challenged by the gods themselves, leaving behind legacies that continue to influence Tamriel centuries later. But there's a much bigger question we have to ask. Which characters are truly the most dangerous? Whether it's their power, influence, intelligence, or the destruction they've unleashed, these NPCs stand above almost everyone else in the Elder Scrolls universe. From ancient dragon priests to godlike beings and legendary heroes, these are some of the most powerful and dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls. When discussing the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls, it's important to look beyond simple combat ability. A truly dangerous character isn't just someone who can defeat the player in a fight. They're someone whose ambitions, resources, intelligence, and willingness to reshape the world make them a threat to entire civilizations. Few characters embody those qualities more completely than Lord Harkon. Introduced as the primary antagonist of Skyrim's Dawnguard expansion, Harkon is far more than an exceptionally powerful vampire. He is the immortal ruler of Castle Volkihar, patriarch of one of Tamriel's oldest vampire bloodlines, and a direct servant of Molag Bal, the Daedric Prince of Domination. Unlike ordinary vampires content with feeding in secret, Harkon dreams on a far grander scale. His goal is nothing less than permanently blotting out the sun through the power of Auriel's bow and the tyranny of the sun prophecy, allowing vampires to rule Tamriel without fear of daylight. Had he succeeded, the consequences would have reached every corner of the continent. That enormous ambition, combined with centuries of accumulated power and an army of supernatural followers, makes Lord Harkon one of the most dangerous individuals in the Elder Scrolls universe. What immediately separates Harkon from most villains is patience. Many antagonists pursue power over months, or even years. Harkon has centuries. He is ancient even by vampire standards. During that time, he has built influence, expanded his clan, mastered powerful forms of magic, studied forgotten prophecies, and waited for exactly the right opportunity. Immortality fundamentally changes what someone can accomplish. Time ceases becoming a limitation. Mistakes can be corrected, knowledge accumulates endlessly. Every century potentially makes Harkon more dangerous than the last. His origins explain much of that ambition. Long before becoming a vampire lord, he ruled as a powerful king. According to his own account, he willingly sacrificed 1,000 innocent people in a ritual dedicated to Molag Bal. The reward was immortality. Unlike victims transformed unwillingly into vampires, Harkon actively chose damnation in exchange for power. That decision reveals something essential about his character. He has never viewed mortality as an obstacle. Only results matter. If unimaginable suffering achieves his objectives, he accepts the cost without hesitation. That willingness alone distinguishes him from many other Elder Scrolls antagonists. Power gained through sacrifice often comes at a terrible cost. Harkon embraces that cost. His connection to Molag Bal further amplifies his threat. Molag Bal is not merely another Daedric prince. He embodies domination, enslavement, corruption, and the complete destruction of free will. Receiving power directly from such a being elevates Harkon far beyond ordinary vampires. His transformation into a vampire lord grants abilities capable of overwhelming experienced warriors and mages alike. Flight, powerful blood magic, summoning gargoyles, draining life directly from opponents, transforming into an enormous winged monstrosity. Very few mortals could hope to survive such an encounter. Yet Harkon's greatest strength isn't physical power, it's leadership. Castle Volkihar functions as far more than an isolated fortress. It serves as the centre of an entire vampire civilization. Powerful, pure-blooded vampires, thralls, deathhounds, gargoyles, specialised alchemists, court advisors all operate beneath Harkon's authority. Unlike many monsters who hunt alone, Harkon commands an organised hierarchy. His followers obey him with remarkable loyalty. That structure dramatically increases his danger. Killing one vampire solves very little. Defeating the Lord directing all of them becomes exponentially more difficult. The tyranny of the Sun prophecy demonstrates the extraordinary scale of Harkon's thinking. Most vampire rulers throughout fantasy simply seek territory, influence, survival. Harkon aims considerably higher. He wants to permanently alter the natural order itself. By using Auriel's bow alongside the blood of a daughter of Cold Harbour, he intends to extinguish the sun's influence forever. This is not conquest of a kingdom. It is environmental transformation affecting an entire continent. Every city, every village, every ecosystem, every ordinary person. The implications become almost unimaginable. Agriculture would collapse. Religious traditions centered around light would be shaken. Normal civilization would fundamentally change. All because one vampire king refused to accept daylight. What makes his plan particularly dangerous is that it isn't completely impossible. The prophecy possesses genuine magical legitimacy. Auriel's bow already exists. Serana carries the necessary bloodline. The ingredients are real. Harkon isn't pursuing fantasy. He's pursuing an achievable objective. That realism makes him considerably more threatening than villains chasing impossible dreams. His relationship with Serana also reveals another disturbing aspect of his personality. Despite being her father, Harkon consistently values prophecy above family. He manipulates, threatens, ultimately attempts to kill his own daughter. Personal relationships mean nothing once they interfere with ambition. That emotional detachment makes him extraordinarily difficult to predict. Love cannot restrain him. Compassion cannot persuade him. Everything becomes secondary to power. Even his wife eventually abandons the castle because she recognizes how dangerous Harkon has become. The fact that his own family fears him says a great deal. His magical abilities also deserve equal recognition. Harkon isn't merely a physically powerful vampire lord. He is also an accomplished practitioner of destructive and blood-based magic. Throughout the final confrontation, he combines devastating spells with supernatural transformations. He constantly adapts, teleports, summons reinforcements, absorbs health, creates magical barriers. The fight demonstrates centuries of accumulated experience. Players aren't facing an ordinary spellcaster. They're confronting someone who has spent lifetimes refining his abilities. Compared to other major Elder Scrolls villains, Harkon occupies a fascinating position. He lacks the divine scale of Dagoth or Alduin, yet he arguably feels more grounded, more immediate. His plans affect ordinary people directly. People can easily imagine Tamriel beneath permanent darkness. The threat feels tangible, personal. Perhaps that accessibility makes him more frightening. You don't need to understand cosmic metaphysics to appreciate why eliminating the sun would be catastrophic. Castle Volkihar itself further reinforces his danger. The fortress appears nearly impenetrable, situated upon an isolated island protected by supernatural guardians hidden from casual travellers. The environment perfectly complements Harkon's rule. Every corridor reminds visitors they have entered enemy territory. The castle isn't merely a home, it's a military stronghold, one specifically designed to protect one of Tamriel's oldest vampire bloodlines. His charisma often goes overlooked as well. Harkon doesn't immediately attack the Dragonborn. He negotiates, offers gifts, promises power. Like many truly dangerous leaders, he understands persuasion. Violence becomes only one tool among many. His offer to transform the player into a vampire lord has tempted countless players over the years. That ability to recruit rather than simply destroy reflects genuine intelligence. He recognises potential allies, even temporary ones. There is also remarkable symbolism surrounding Harkon's obsession with the sun. Vampires traditionally survive by avoiding daylight. Harkon refuses to accept limitation. Rather than adapting himself, he attempts to reshape reality. That mindset perfectly summarises his character. The world must change, not him. Few ambitions reveal greater arrogance or greater danger. His downfall ultimately stems from that same arrogance. Harkon consistently underestimates others. Serana, his wife, the Dawnguard, the Dragonborn himself. He assumes power guarantees victory. Ironically, that belief becomes his greatest weakness. Without overwhelming confidence, he might have succeeded. Instead, obsession gradually blinds him to genuine threats. Even so, defeating Harkon requires extraordinary efforts. Only the Dragonborn, one of the most powerful mortals in Tamriel, stands a realistic chance of stopping him. That fact alone demonstrates his incredible danger. Ordinary soldiers could never accomplish that task. Entire armies would struggle. It takes a legendary hero wielding Ariel's bow to bring his reign to an end. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Harkon is how believable his rise to power feels within Elder Scrolls lore. Ancient ruler Daedric packed immortality, centuries of preparation, political manipulation, forbidden magic. Everything develops logically. He doesn't become dangerous overnight. He becomes dangerous because every century quietly increases his capabilities. Ultimately, Lord Harkon earns his place among the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls, not simply because he is one of its strongest vampires, but because he combines virtually every quality that defines a truly catastrophic antagonist. Immense supernatural power, limitless patience, strategic intelligence, absolute ruthlessness, an organised army, a nearly impenetrable fortress, direct ties to one of the most malevolent Daedric princes, and an ambition capable of permanently changing the natural order of Tamriel itself. Unlike villains satisfied with personal wealth or regional conquest, Harkon seeks to reshape the entire world according to his desires, regardless of the suffering required to achieve it. He sacrifices innocence without hesitation, manipulates his own family, commands unwavering loyalty from one of Tamriel's oldest vampire clans, and pursues an ancient prophecy with relentless determination. Even in defeat, his legacy endures through the Volkihar bloodline and the terrifying reminder of how close Tamriel came to existing beneath an eternal light. For all of those reasons, Lord Harkon stands not merely as one of Skyrim's greatest villains, but as one of the single most dangerous individuals ever to walk the world of the Elder Scrolls. Some characters in the Elder Scrolls become dangerous because they possess immense physical strength. Others command powerful armies or master ancient forms of magic. Dagoth is different. His danger comes from the terrifying combination of all three, amplified by divine power and an unwavering belief that he alone is destined to reshape Tamriel. Long before the events of the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Dagoth was once known as Vorin Dagoth, a trusted member of the House Dagoth and an ally of the legendary Tribunal during the War of the First Council. But after coming into contact with the Heart of Lorkhan beneath Red Mountain, everything changed. The Heart granted him extraordinary power, immortality, and an almost godlike influence over an island. Over thousands of years, Dagoth transformed from a respected Chimmer lord into one of the most dangerous beings Tamriel had ever faced. Unlike many villains whose ambitions are limited to kingdoms or provinces, Dagoth sought nothing less then the complete rebirth of the world according to his own vision. He intended to overthrow the Tribunal, drive out the Empire, awaken the giant Numidium, known as a Kulikan, spread the supernatural blight across Morrowind, and ultimately establish himself as the divine ruler of a new age. It was an ambition so vast that, had it succeeded, the political and spiritual landscape of Tamriel would have been changed forever. Perhaps the most frightening aspect of Dagoth is that he genuinely believes he is saving the world. Unlike villains driven purely by greed or revenge, Dagoth sees himself as a liberator. He speaks with confidence, with certainty, with absolute conviction that his vision represents the future. That makes him incredibly persuasive. He doesn't consider himself evil. He believes everyone else simply fails to understand what must be done. That mindset creates a far more unpredictable enemy than someone motivated by simple hatred. Because compromise becomes impossible. You cannot negotiate with someone convinced they are already right. The source of Dagoth's power lies beneath Red Mountain. The Heart of Lorkhan is one of the single most important artifacts in all of Elder Scrolls lore, a fragment of the missing god himself. Its divine energy transcends ordinary magic. While the Tribunal used Kagranak's tools to draw power from the heart, Dagoth formed an even stranger connection. His existence gradually becomes intertwined with it. As long as the heart remained intact, destroying Dagoth permanently proved almost impossible. He could be defeated temporarily, but never truly eliminated. Immortality on that scale fundamentally changes the balance of power. Time ceases becoming an obstacle. Failure becomes temporary. Eventually, every opponent grows old. Dagoth simply waits. His patience rivals that of the greatest Daedric princes. The sixth house demonstrates another reason Dagoth ranks among Tamriel's most dangerous figures. Unlike many powerful individuals who operate alone, he inspires extraordinary loyalty. The sixth house cult spreads quietly throughout Morrowind. Its members willingly abandon ordinary life. They worship him as a living god. Many become fanatics, others succumb to horrifying physical transformations. Yet they rarely question their devotion. Their loyalty stems not only from belief, but from supernatural influence as well. Dagoth doesn't simply recruit followers, he changes them. That ability to reshape minds makes him dangerous long before armies ever march. Then there is the Blight. Few threats in Elder Scrolls history spread as insidiously. Originating from Red Mountain, the Blight functions as both disease and supernatural corruption. It weakens bodies, distorts minds, transforms wildlife, creates horrifying monsters. Entire regions become nearly uninhabitable beneath its influence. Travel becomes increasingly dangerous, communities begin collapsing. Unlike conventional warfare, the Blight doesn't distinguish between soldiers and civilians. Everyone becomes vulnerable. Its spread quietly demonstrates how Dagoth wages war. He doesn't merely conquer territory, he infects reality itself. The Corporus disease elevates that horror even further. At first glance, Corporus appears almost miraculous. Those afflicted cease aging, many become effectively immortal, yet immortality arrives alongside grotesque mutation. Victims gradually lose their humanity, bodies twist into monstrous forms, minds deteriorate, identity slowly disappears. Dagoth offers eternal life, but strips away everything making life meaningful. Perhaps no weapon better represents his philosophy. Power always comes with devastating cost. One of Dagoth's greatest ambitions revolves around a Kulikan, sometimes described as the second Numidium. This colossal brass construct represents one of the most terrifying projects ever attempted in Tamriel. The original Numidium already altered history itself. Dagoth intended to create another. Empowered by the Heart of Lorkhan, under his complete control, the implications become staggering. A divine machine capable of reshaping nations, perhaps even reality. Fortunately, the project never reaches completion. had it succeeded, stopping Dagoth may have become impossible. His relationship with the Tribunal also reveals remarkable complexity. Unlike straightforward rivalries, theirs spans millennia. Friendship transformed into betrayal. Trust became hatred. Each side believes the other corrupted the Chimmer people's future. This shared history makes their conflict deeply personal. Dagoth isn't simply opposing political enemies. He's confronting former allies whose decisions changed the course of history. That emotional dimension gives his character unusual depth. Even his dialogue reflects this complexity. Throughout Morrowind, Dagoth speaks calmly, politely, almost respectfully. He welcomes the Neverine, invites conversation, discusses philosophy. Rarely does he descend into mindless rage. That composure makes him considerably more intimidating. He never needs to shout. Confidence replaces intimidation. He genuinely believes victory is inevitable. Compared to Harkon, the contrast becomes fascinating. Harkon seeks to reshape Tamriel through a single prophetic event. Dagoth builds an entirely new civilization beneath Red Mountain. One relies upon vampires, the other upon divine corruption. Both threaten continents. Dagoth simply operates upon an even larger historical scale. His influence extends into religion, culture, disease, politics, and mythology simultaneously. The environment surrounding Red Mountain perfectly complements his character. Ash storms constantly rage across the landscape. Visibility remains poor. Creatures become increasingly hostile. The closer players approach Dagoth, the more corrupted the world appears. It feels as though reality itself rejects ordinary existence. Very few Elder Scrolls antagonists influence their surroundings so completely. Red Mountain ceases feeling like geography, and it becomes an extension of Dagoth himself. His House Ash vampires further reinforce this theme. These ancient servants possess incredible strength, yet their appearances reveal terrible corruption. Power and decay exist side by side. Everything serving Dagoth reflects his worldview. Imperfection transformed into superiority. Suffering interpreted as evolution. Normal standards of beauty and health become meaningless. Only devotion matters. Another aspect often overlooked in Dagoth's strategic intelligence is that he does not immediately declare open war against Tamriel. Instead, he prepares. He expands the Sixth House secretly. He develops Akulikan. He allows the Blight to spread gradually. He waits for opportunities. This patience makes him extraordinarily dangerous. Impulsive villains often defeat themselves. Dagoth nearly succeeds precisely because he understands preparation. The Neverine arrives at exactly the right moment. Any later, events might have unfolded very differently. His influence over dreams deserves special attention as well. The so-called dreamers experience visions calling them towards the Sixth House. Sleep itself becomes another battlefield. People awaken changed, obsessed, unable to ignore the whispers. That subtle manipulation creates extraordinary psychological horror. Dagoth reaches people without ever meeting them. Distance offers no protection. Even unconsciousness becomes vulnerable. There is also profound tragedy beneath his transformation. Vorin Dagoth was not always a monster. He was once respected, trusted, a leader among his people. His corruption unfolded gradually through divine influence and unimaginable power. Whether any part of the original man truly survives remains open to interpretation. That ambiguity strengthens his character considerably. Players aren't simply confronting evil. They're confronting what happens when extraordinary power slowly consumes extraordinary ambition. Ultimately, Dagoth earns his place among the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls because virtually every aspect of his existence threatens the stability of Tamriel. He commands fanatical followers, spreads supernatural disease, manipulates dreams, wields divine power drawn directly from the heart of Lorcan, builds a second medium capable of changing history itself, and pursues these ambitions with limitless patience, remarkable intelligence, and absolute certainty that he is destined to succeed. Unlike many villains who seek destruction for its own sake, Dagoth genuinely believes he is creating a better future. That unwavering conviction makes him infinitely more dangerous, because he never questions his own righteousness. Every atrocity becomes justified, every sacrifice becomes necessary, every victim becomes another step toward the world he imagined. It ultimately takes the Neverine, the destruction of Kagranak's enchantments, and the severing of the heart's power to finally end his reign. Yet even in defeat, Dagoth remains one of the defining figures in Elder Scrolls history. A reminder that the greatest threats are often not those who seek to destroy the world, but those who sincerely believe only they deserve to remake it. Among all the dangerous individuals in the Elder Scrolls, very few possess the ability to threaten an entire continent without ever leading a conventional army. Mankar Camoran proves that absolute conviction can be just as destructive as overwhelming magical power. As the founder and spiritual leader of the Mythic Dawn, Mankar stands at the very heart of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. While Mehrunes Dagon is undoubtedly the ultimate force behind the Oblivion crisis, it is Mankar who makes that catastrophe possible. Without his planning, his manipulation, and his fanatical devotion, Dagon's invasion of Tamriel would never have progressed beyond scattered Daedric incursions. Mankar spends years quietly building one of the most dangerous cults in the history of the Empire, recruiting followers from every level of society, acquiring forbidden knowledge, stealing the Amulet of Kings, orchestrating the assassination of Emperor Uriel Septim, and ultimately shattering the barrier separating Nirn from Oblivion itself. Unlike many Elder Scrolls villains who rely primarily on personal strength, Mankar weaponizes belief. He convinces thousands of ordinary people to willingly destroy the civilization they live in, making him one of the most dangerous manipulators Tamriel has ever known. Perhaps the most frightening thing about Mankar is that he never presents himself as a tyrant. He presents himself as a prophet. Everything he does is framed as revelation rather than conquest. He speaks calmly, confidently, with complete certainty that history has misunderstood the true nature of Tamriel. To his followers, he is not merely a cult leader, he is someone exposing hidden truths. That distinction matters enormously. People rarely follow individuals they believe are evil. They follow people they believe are right. Mankar understands that better than almost anyone. His greatest weapon is persuasion. Long before the events of Oblivion, Mankar begins constructing the Mythic Dawn in secrecy. Unlike military commanders who rely on visible displays of strength, he prefers infiltration. Recruitment happens quietly, safe houses appear across Cyrodiil, hidden shrines emerge in forgotten locations. Ordinary citizens slowly become devoted cultists. The organisation expands beneath the Empire's notice. By the time authorities fully understand the threat, the Mythic Dawn has already embedded itself deeply within Imperial society. That patience demonstrates remarkable strategic intelligence. Mankar doesn't rush, he prepares. His understanding of religion and symbolism elevates the Mythic Dawn far beyond an ordinary cult. Every ritual, every ceremony, every text reinforces absolute loyalty. Followers are encouraged to abandon previous identities. The cult becomes their family, their purpose, their future. This psychological restructuring creates extraordinary commitment. Members willingly sacrifice their lives without hesitation. Many actively embrace death if it serves Mankar's vision. Creating that level of devotion requires exceptional charisma. Some of the texts further reveal Mankar's brilliance as both philosopher and protagonist. These texts remain some of the most fascinating pieces of writing in the entire Elder Scrolls series. They blend theology, history, metaphysics, political ideology, and outright manipulation into a single narrative. Readers willing to accept Mankar's assumptions gradually begin questioning reality itself. The books don't simply provide information, they reshape perception. Very few antagonists leave behind philosophical works capable of recruiting followers centuries later. Mankar does exactly that. His relationship with Mehrunes Dagon also deserves careful attention. Unlike many Daedric worshippers motivated by desperation or personal gain, Mankar genuinely believes Dagon's arrival represents necessary transformation. Destruction becomes renewal, chaos becomes liberation. He does not serve Dagon out of fear, he serves willingly, even enthusiastically. That voluntary devotion makes him considerably more dangerous than reluctant servants. His loyalty never wavers. One of Mankar's greatest achievements is orchestrating the assassination of the Emperor. This single act fundamentally changes Tamriel. The Septim bloodline safeguards the barriers separating Nirn from Oblivion. Removing the Emperor begins unraveling that protection. Mankar understands the symbolic and practical significance perfectly. He doesn't merely eliminate a ruler, he attacks the foundation of the empire itself. Political assassination becomes metaphysical warfare. The scale of that strategy is enormous. His theft of the Amulet of Kings compounds this achievement. The amulet is not merely a priceless artifact. It represents legitimacy, divine covenants, the continuity of the empire. Removing it creates political uncertainty while simultaneously advancing Dagon's invasion. Once again, Mankar demonstrates remarkable understanding of symbolism. Power isn't only about armies, it's about ideas, about institutions, about faith. Destroying confidence can be as effective as destroying cities. Paradise remains one of the most unsettling demonstrations of Mankar's power. Using the Mysterium, he creates an entirely separate realm existing within Oblivion. Unlike ordinary Daedric realms ruled directly by princes, Paradise reflects Mankar himself. It embodies his beliefs, his aesthetics, his philosophy. Followers entering Paradise believe they have achieved salvation, yet the reality proves considerably darker. Immortality exists, but freedom does not. The realm quietly reveals the contradictions within Mankar's ideology. Perfection requires obedience. Questioning disappears. His utopia ultimately serves one individual, himself. The Comoran bloodline also contributes significantly to his identity. Mankar descends from one of Tamriel's oldest and most influential dynasties. His ancestry grants additional legitimacy among those seeking historical significance. He is not simply inventing a movement, he connects himself to ancient traditions stretching back centuries. That historical continuity strengthens his authority. Magic forms another pillar of Mankar's danger. Although often remembered primarily as a cult leader, he remains an exceptionally accomplished mage. Creating Paradise alone demonstrates magical mastery beyond most practitioners. Throughout the final confrontation, he employs destructive spells, summons Daedric servants, and fights with remarkable confidence. His abilities reflect decades, perhaps centuries, of dedicated study. Unlike warriors relying upon physical strength, Mankar combines intellect with supernatural power. Compared to Dagoth, the similarities become fascinating. Both establish cults, both reshape religion, both sincerely believe they are saving the world. Yet where Dagoth relies heavily upon divine corruption, radiating outward from Red Mountain, Mankar relies upon ideas spreading from mind to mind. One infects bodies, the other infects belief. Both methods prove devastating. Another remarkable quality is Mankar's willingness to sacrifice absolutely everything. Family, followers, civilization, even himself. Nothing remains sacred except the success of Dagon's plan. That complete absence of restraint makes him extraordinarily unpredictable. Traditional diplomacy becomes impossible. Threats accomplish nothing. Promises achieve little. He has already accepted any conceivable cost. The Oblivion crisis itself ultimately demonstrates just how close Mankar comes to success. Oblivion gates open across Tamriel, cities burn, countless people die. Entire regions descend into chaos. This is not a theoretical threat. It actually happens. The Empire nearly collapses beneath the assault. Had Martin Septon failed, Tamriel might have fallen permanently. That reality separates Mankar from many villains whose ambitions remain hypothetical. He succeeds, at least for a time. His plans work, his dialogue throughout Oblivion reinforces his unwavering certainty. He never appears uncertain, never questions his mission, even when confronting the hero of Kvatch directly. He speaks as though history itself supports him. That confidence becomes strangely compelling. Players understand why others followed him. He sounds like someone utterly convinced destiny stands on his side. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of Mankar is how ordinary many of his followers originally were. Merchants, scholars, citizens, people from every walk of life gradually abandon everything to embrace the mythic dawn. This transformation ultimately suggests the danger lies not merely within Mankar himself, but within his ability to awaken destructive beliefs already present within others. He doesn't create fanaticism from nothing, he cultivates it. Ultimately, Mankar Camoran earns his place among the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls, because he demonstrates that the greatest threats are not always those possessing the strongest weapons or the largest armies. Sometimes the greatest threat is one individual capable of convincing thousands of others to willingly destroy their own world. Through charisma, forbidden knowledge, extraordinary magical ability, political manipulation, and absolute devotion to Mehrunes Dagon, Mankar orchestrates one of the single most catastrophic events in Tamrielic history. He assassinates an emperor, steals one of the Empire's greatest relics, builds a continent-spanning cult, creates his own realm within Oblivion, and nearly succeeds in collapsing the barrier separating mortal existence from Daedric invasion forever. Even after his death, the mythic dawn serves in scattered remnants, proving that dangerous ideas rarely disappear alongside the people who first spread them. That may be Mankar's greatest legacy, not simply the destruction he caused, but the reminder that belief, when placed in the wrong hands, can become the most powerful and dangerous weapon of all. At first glance, Lucian Lechance doesn't seem like someone who belongs on the list of the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls. He isn't a god, a king, or the leader of a continent-spanning army. He doesn't seek to conquer Tamriel or wield artifacts capable of reshaping reality. Instead, he appears as a calm, well-spoken assassin dressed in black robes, greeting the player with one of the most iconic lines in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. "Greetings, assassin. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the family." Yet beneath that composed exterior lies one of the deadliest individuals in the history of the Dark Brotherhood. Lucian is not dangerous because of overwhelming magical power or brute strength. He is dangerous because he represents something far more difficult to stop: a master assassin operating from the shadows. Throughout his life, he carries out countless contracts, rises to the rank of Speaker within the Black Hand, commands unquestioned authority over the Brotherhood's assassins, and helps shape one of the most feared organizations in Tamriel. Unlike many villains who rely on public displays of power, Lucian proves that the most dangerous people are often the ones you never see coming. The first thing that defines him is his extraordinary professionalism. Everything about him feels controlled, measured, deliberate. He never raises his voice unnecessarily. He never wastes his words. Every conversation carries a quiet confidence that immediately commands respect. Unlike impulsive killers driven by rage or cruelty, Lucian approaches assassination as both an art and a sacred duty. To him, murder isn't chaos, it's ritual. That mindset makes him remarkably effective. Emotion rarely clouds his judgment. Every action serves a purpose, His position within the Dark Brotherhood immediately demonstrates just how trusted he is. Lucian is a Speaker of the Black Hand, one of the highest-ranking members of the entire organisation. That title carries enormous responsibility. Speakers act as intermediaries between the Night Mother and the Dark Brotherhood's sanctuaries. They assign contracts, maintain order, protect the organisation's secrets. Very few assassins ever rise to such a position. Reaching that rank requires exceptional skill, unwavering loyalty, and decades of successful service. The Brotherhood does not reward incompetence. Lucian earns his authority through results. His recruitment of the hero of Kvatch also reveals another dangerous quality: his ability to judge potential. Rather than immediately viewing the player as a threat, Lucian recognizes talent. He understands that someone capable of carrying out an unsanctioned murder possesses qualities the Brotherhood can use. That ability to identify skilled individuals allows the organization to remain strong across generations. Lucian isn't simply an assassin. He's also an excellent recruiter. He knows how to build the future of the Brotherhood. Unlike many leaders, Lucian inspires loyalty without relying upon fear. Members respect him because he constantly demonstrates competence. He treats contracts seriously, follows Brotherhood traditions faithfully, maintains discipline even during periods of internal uncertainty. That leadership style creates stability inside an organization built entirely around death. Keeping professional killers organized is no small achievement. Lucian manages it remarkably well. His combat abilities are equally impressive. Although players spend much of Oblivion speaking with him rather than fighting beside him, the lore surrounding Lucian makes it clear that he reached his position through extraordinary skill. Ordinary assassins rarely survive long enough to become speakers. Lucian almost certainly eliminated countless high-profile targets throughout his career. Each successful contract increased both his reputation and his experience. Years of practice transformed him into one of the Brotherhood's finest operatives. What makes Lucian especially dangerous is his understanding of secrecy. Many powerful Elder Scrolls characters announce their presence through armies or magical displays. Lucian does the opposite. The ideal assassination leaves no warning, no opportunity to prepare, no dramatic confrontation. The victim simply dies. That philosophy makes traditional defences largely meaningless. Castle walls cannot stop someone already inside. Bodyguards cannot protect against poison administered quietly. Political influence means little when the killer remains anonymous. Lucian represents a form of danger that bypasses conventional power entirely. His relationship with the Night Mother also strengthens his authority. Unlike ambitious members seeking personal glory, Lucian remains deeply devoted to the Brotherhood's traditions. He believes in the sanctity of the 5 tenets. He respects the Black Sacrament. He follows the organization's hierarchy without hesitation. That unwavering commitment makes him dependable. Followers know exactly where he stands. Even when circumstances become increasingly chaotic, Lucian continues placing duty above personal ambition. Ironically, one of the qualities making Lucian so dangerous is one of his greatest weaknesses: his loyalty. During the events of Oblivion, the Dark Brotherhood becomes consumed by paranoia after the mysterious betrayal of the Black Hand. Lucian is falsely accused of treachery. Despite years of faithful service, suspicion spreads rapidly through the organization. Rather than abandoning the Brotherhood or attempting a violent coup, Lucian continues trying to uncover the truth. His dedication falters. That choice ultimately costs him his life. Yet even after death, he refuses to betray the Brotherhood's ideals. Compared to later assassins like Astrid from Skyrim, the contrast becomes fascinating. Astrid values independence. She rejects the authority of the Night Mother. She reshapes the Brotherhood according to her own beliefs. Lucian represents the opposite philosophy. Tradition, discipline, faith both become influential leaders. Only Lucian preserves the organization's original identity. his death also demonstrates just how dangerous internal betrayal can become. Ironically, one of Tamriel's greatest assassins falls not to an external enemy, but to manipulation within his own ranks. The Black Hand executes him based on false accusations, orchestrated by Bellamont. That outcome highlights another important truth about him. Even extraordinary skill cannot always protect against deception. The Brotherhood's greatest weakness proves to be itself. One of the most memorable aspects of Lucian's character comes after his death. His spirit continues assisting the hero of Kvatch during the final stages of the Dark Brotherhood questline. Unlike many ghosts appearing briefly throughout the series, Lucian's spectral form retains his personality completely. He remains calm, helpful, professional. Death changes remarkably little about him. Even beyond the grave, he continues serving the Brotherhood. This persistence reinforces his extraordinary dedication. His assassination techniques are never shown directly in great detail, but the implications remain obvious. Ultimately, he becomes one of the most defining figures associated with the Dark Brotherhood across the entire Elder Scrolls franchise. Players continue discussing his wisdom, professionalism, and memorable dialogue decades after Oblivion's release. Few assassins achieve such lasting recognition. Ultimately, Lucien Lachance earns his place among the most dangerous NPCs in all of the Elder Scrolls, not because he possesses divine power or dreams of conquering Tamriel, but because he embodies the terrifying effectiveness of a perfect assassin. As a Speaker of the Black Hand, he commands one of the most feared organizations in the Empire, oversees contracts that quietly reshape the political landscape, and maintains unwavering loyalty to the ancient traditions of the Dark Brotherhood. His greatest weapons are not dragons, Daedric artifacts, or armies. They are patience, precision, intelligence, and absolute professionalism. He proves that history does not always change through massive battles or world-eating catastrophes. Sometimes it changes because a single individual receives a contract, slips unnoticed through the shadows, and ensures that one important person never sees another sunrise. That quiet efficiency is precisely what makes Lucien so formidable. Because while kings rule from thrones and generals command armies, assassins like Lucien operate where no walls can protect you, no title can save you, and no amount of power can guarantee that your name won't someday appear on the Dark Brotherhood's contract. In the cold, stone depths of the Falkreath jail, the air hangs heavy with despair. Most prisoners mutter in silence, others curse their captors, but one man sits apart. His voice, calm yet trembling, draws you in before you even see his face. I don't suppose there's a point in keeping it a secret, he tells you, eyes glinting with the faint reflection of torchlight. I am cursed. What follows is not just another encounter with a troubled soul. It's one of the most haunting and morally complex stories in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. He is not merely another bandit or beast. He's a man torn apart by forces beyond his control, a being trapped between guilt and hunger, humanity and monstrosity. His story, found in the Daedric quest Ill Met by Moonlight, is a chilling reminder that evil in Skyrim is rarely black and white. Some monsters are born, others are made, and some, like this man, are both. When you first meet Sinding, he doesn't roar or threaten, he speaks, and that's what makes him disturbing. He confesses to a murder not out of malice, but because of an uncontrollable transformation. He killed a young girl in Falkreath, and though he begs forgiveness, his words only deepen the horror. His guilt is real, his remorse sincere, and yet the crime remains monstrous. I killed her, he admits quietly, but not by choice. This juxtaposition of predator and penitent sets Sinding apart. In a world filled with power-hungry necromancers, bloodthirsty vampires, and Daedric fanatics, his sin feels disturbingly human. It's the loss of control, the terror of one's own impulses. His story feels less like a villain's monologue and more like a confession, whispered through trembling lips. The horror is not that he is a werewolf, it's that he's a man who knows exactly what he's done and cannot undo it. His condition stems from his dealings with Herson, the Daedric prince of the Hunt. Seeking strength, he took on Herson's gift, lycanthropy, but discovered it to be a curse when his transformations became uncontrollable. Unlike the companions of Whiterun who embrace their bestial side, Sinding represents the darker truth behind Herson's blessing. The gift of the beast blood isn't empowerment, it's submission to a primal god who revels in the hunt. When Sinding describes his affliction, he doesn't sound proud, he sounds terrified. The line between man and beast is gone, erased by the will of a Daedra who sees mortals as prey and playthings. Herson does not punish Sinding for murder, he punishes him for disobedience. The Daedric prince demands respect, not morality, and the werewolf's failure to control his urges become both his sin and his damnation. Sinding's existence thus becomes a study in divine cruelty. He is condemned not just for what he's done, but for daring to resist the power that made him do it. Once Sinding escapes Falkreath jail, the player becomes part of his fate. Herson demands you track him, leading you to Bloated Man's Grotto, a mist-shrouded clearing teeming with hunters. Here lies one of Skyrim's most haunting moral choices. You can side with the hunters and kill Sinding to earn Herson's favour, or you can defend him, helping the cursed man find some semblance of peace. It's a choice with no right answer. If you kill him, you become an executioner of mercy, silencing a man who cannot live with himself. If you spare him, you defy a Daedric prince and let a murderer live, knowing he might kill again. No other quest in Skyrim so perfectly captures the tension between morality and survival. The encounter is not about loot or power, it's about conscience. And either outcome, the question lingers long after the grotto falls silent. Was Sinding a monster pretending to be a human, or a human punished for being monstrous? Sinding's tragedy isn't about the supernatural. It's about what it means to be human. Many of Skyrim's villains, vampires, necromancers, cultists, are easy to hate because they've surrendered their humanity willingly. Sinding hasn't. He clings to it desperately. That's what makes him so disturbing. He reminds us that the line between good and evil isn't always drawn by gods or Daedra. It's drawn by circumstance. Had Sinding been born in Whiterun or joined the Companions, his lycanthropy might have been hailed as honour. Had he learned control, he might have been a hero. Instead, he became an outcast, defined by one moment of horror that destroyed everything he was. Skyrim is filled with murderers, but few haunt the player the way Sinding does, because his sin feels uncomfortably close to our own capacity for error. When you finally confront Sinding in Bloated Man's Grotto, he appears not as a monster but as a man in tattered clothes. His eyes are filled with sorrow. Yet the moment the moonlight strikes, the transformation begins. Bones snapping, muscles twisting, fur bursting from skin. It's one of Skyrim's most striking visual moments. You're not watching a beast emerge, you're watching a man vanish. The werewolf form, so often portrayed as powerful and majestic, becomes horrifying in this context. The transformation isn't freedom, it's erasure. Sinding ceases to exist the moment the beast awakens. That's the real horror. Not the blood or claws, but the obliteration of self. Herson's curse doesn't just make Sinding dangerous, it makes him disappear entirely. He becomes an echo of himself, condemned to live as both victim and villain, never fully either. Sinding's crime leaves a scar on Falkreath, a city already haunted by death, known for its massive cemetery and somber tone. Falkreath becomes the perfect stage for his tragedy. The townsfolk whisper about the murder, their fear palpable. The death of a child by the hands of a trusted man doesn't just horrify, it destabilizes. It makes the town question safety, morality, and the thin line separating ordinary life from chaos. Sinding's presence in the jail isn't just narrative flavour, it's atmospheric storytelling. His cell, dimly lit and claustrophobic, becomes a microcosm of Falkreath itself. A place where grief and fear coexist, and where every shadow might hide something best left unseen. After his escape, the city doesn't breathe easier. It lives in denial. The townsfolk never mention him again, but the silence feels intentional, like a wound that everyone chooses to ignore. Sinding's tale is intertwined with Herson's philosophy, the eternal hunt. To Herson, every creature has a place, predator or prey. But Sinding defies this order. He refuses to hunt, refuses to embrace the beast, and in doing so, becomes prey to both men and gods. His rebellion gives his story a mythic weight. Sinding is a tragic Prometheus, punished for rejecting divine will. Yet, unlike most Daedric worshippers, he doesn't seek power or immortality. He seeks forgiveness. This defiance transforms him from villain to victim. He stands as proof that the Daedra's gift is never truly a blessing. Herson's game is endless, and Sinding's suffering ensures it continues. The player too becomes part of the hunt, not as a hero, but as another piece on Herson's board. Whether you kill Sinding or not, you've played your role. The prince wins either way. Long after the quest ends, Sinding remains one of Skyrim's most quietly unsettling figures. Unlike most Daedric quests, which reward you with a relic or closure, ill met by moonlight lingers. The grotto's stillness, the corpse-strewn ground, and Herson's cold approval leave a chill that no gold or artifact can dispel. Sinding is disturbing not because he's evil, but because he's tragic. He reminds us that in Skyrim, even good intentions can lead to horror, that mercy and monstrosity often walk hand in hand. And when you next pass through Falkreath, you might glance towards the jail and think of the man who sat there, whispering his confession into the dark. And somewhere deep in the forests of Skyrim, under the pale light of the moon, you might hear the echo of a howl, not of hunger, but of sorrow. Sinding's story is one of the most powerful in the Elder Scrolls, because it dares to blur the boundaries between man and monster. He is cursed, yes, but his real torment is not the fur or fangs, it's memory. He remembers the girl's face, he remembers the blood, he remembers being human, and that is what truly damns him even more. Herson's curse made him a beast, but guilt made him eternal. He becomes a spirit trapped between worlds, not quite mortal, not quite Daedric, forever haunted by the hunt he tried to refuse. In the end, Sinding is the most disturbing NPC in Skyrim, because he represents something deeper than horror. He embodies the fear that every mortal, every player must face. That the real monsters are not found in caves or crypts. They live within us, waiting for the moon to rise. Power in the Elder Scrolls comes in many forms. Some characters wield godlike magic capable of reshaping reality, while others command vast armies, ancient artifacts, or entire civilizations. But as we've seen, the most dangerous NPCs aren't always the strongest in a straight fight. They're the ones whose actions leave lasting scars on the history of Tamriel. Whether it was Dagoth seeking to remake Morrowind through divine corruption, Mankar Camoran bringing about the Oblivion crisis, or Lucian Lechance proving that a single assassin can alter the fate of nations. Each of these characters changed the course of history in their own way. That's what makes the Elder Scrolls such a fascinating universe. Its greatest threats aren't simply monsters to defeat. They're complex individuals driven by ambition, belief, revenge, or an unshakable vision of what the world could become. Because in Tamriel, the most dangerous person isn't always the one carrying the biggest sword. It's the one capable of changing the fate of an entire world.